Welcome, I'm Sian, I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm going to talk today about 3 subtle signs that you were raised by emotionally immature parents. And I'm going to talk about the ways that it's impacted you and the signs in your current life now. So, the first one is that you are the emotional regulator in any room, and you probably always have been, even before you knew what emotions really were, when you were a child, when really you should have been focused on yourself and just enjoying the present moment. Instead, you were the one tuning in to everybody else's moods. So sometimes this can be confused with being an empath or being highly sensitive. And both of those terms, I really like those ways of thinking about people. I identify as an empath and as a highly sensitive person. But I also know that often having those traits are really the result of having emotionally immature parents who were maybe emotionally volatile, unpredictable. Whenever they were in a bad mood, it caused you trouble. And what all of this does is it makes you get really good at working out what other people are feeling, maybe before they even know themselves, in a bid to protect yourself, so that even though this isn't conscious, what we're really doing in that process is we're trying to figure out, okay, so if that person seems like they might be getting a bit frustrated, a bit angry, maybe I could intervene before they get too angry, and then I won't have to experience that. Maybe they won't be cross with me, which would feel really uncomfortable. And all of this is something that you would have learned as a child. So often, when we're really tuned into other people's emotions, and when we learn and make it our business to manage other people's feelings for them, that is a sign that you were not raised by parents who were able to manage their own feelings. The second sign is that love really is conditional in your eyes. And this, again, is often not conscious, but just bear with me as I explain this. So, emotionally immature parents are often emotionally unpredictable and inconsistent. So, what that means is that as a child, you learn how to work hard for love. So, the way your parents might have expressed their love, maybe one day they were perhaps quite loving, quite like pleasant to you, quite caring and friendly, and then the next day they were really rejecting, maybe really critical or harsh. This is because when a parent is emotionally immature, they are really still managing all of their own internal traumas because they haven't been able to really resolve them. And they are also really preoccupied with their own problems. And so this means that their mood is very much dependent normally on what is happening in their life, or maybe in what other people thinking of them, how well their career is going, how good they feel about themselves on that day. There's not that stability there, it's inconsistent. And so the way that often translates in the parent-child relationship is that they are inconsistent with their love. And so this sends the message that in order to try to get love on those days or in those moments when it's not really available, so there might be things that you could do to earn their love. And then you get into this habit of kind of working hard for it, and most importantly, of changing yourself in order to get love and attention from your parents. What this means as an adult is that you maybe have gotten used to being useful, being helpful, being really just kind of finding ways to make people love you, trying to find ways to become more lovable, rather than having had that experience of being loved just because you are, just because you exist, not because of something that you do or don't do. You may also have gotten really used to being compliant, being like silencing yourself ultimately. So, kind of stopping yourself from saying what you really think because it might not be approved of. You've learned from childhood, because of your parents' emotional immaturity, you've learned that it pays to go along with the majority or to please the people around you. And so now you're stuck in a loop of still trying to earn your keep in your relationships, whether that's your friendships, whether that's your romantic relationships. The link has been made because your parents weren't able to really respond to you in the moment as a child, which is what children need. Instead, they were just acting based off of their own internal happenings, their own internal mood, their own unprocessed trauma. So in that sense, it was all about them. And that's a big sign of emotional immaturity in parents and in people in general. And the final subtle sign is that you feel emotionally either too much or not enough. So this comes from emotionally immature parents really not knowing how to validate your feelings, really not knowing how to let you have your own emotions and for those emotions to be deemed as welcome and okay. Instead, there would likely have been a lot of shaming, dismissing of your feelings, maybe telling you you're too dramatic, too sensitive, being over the top. And so what that means is, as an adult, you kind of aren't able to find that midpoint. That midpoint being when we can express our emotions and also and kind of validate ourselves really, but also we're not just constantly living in our emotions. We found a way to access them without having to be in our sadness or our anger or our fear all the time. So what this looks like as an adult is often that you have that normal human need to express yourself and to let your emotions and your feelings be known. That is a normal, function of being human and also of socializing as well, of kind of communicating and connecting with other people effectively. But when you do, you doubt yourself, you wonder if your reactions are appropriate, you wonder if they're accurate, you are doubting your own emotional experience constantly. Rather than just being able to have a reaction, you second guess, maybe you hold the reaction in, or on those occasions when you do express your emotions, you feel overly vulnerable, you maybe do give more information than you want to or need to, and it feels unboundaried. But also there are times when you feel like you're not being vulnerable enough and you know that you're not really showing up fully in relationships with people because you're holding back and you are suppressing and holding onto, holding onto your own emotional experience because you don't want to burden other people. Because emotionally immature parents make their children feel like their emotions are a burden. They make their children feel like when they are angry and whether they're throwing something around, if maybe they're younger children, or if they are shouting or they're upset or they're refusing to do something, an emotionally immature parent doesn't recognize the need, which is to probably validate feelings, talk things through, have some gentle boundaries set. Instead, the emotionally immature parent makes it about them, that emotional experience the child is having becomes an inconvenience to the parent, and that becomes the focus. And this goes with all emotions. The emotionally immature parents really don't have the bandwidth for their children's emotions because really they don't have the bandwidth for their own emotions, right? They haven't learned how to process and manage and make sense of their own emotions. So therefore, when their child comes to them and they're sad or they're scared or they're angry, the parent really has no way to help them with that or to make sense of that. And so it creates this kind of disruption in your understanding of your own feelings. So I hope that's helpful. Just touched on a few signs there. There are loads of different ways that emotionally immature parenting affects us, loads of different ways that it kind of manifests and shows up in our adult life and in our life as children. And if this has been helpful, drop a comment below and let me know if there's anything specific you'd like me to talk about in the next episode. Bye bye, take care.